Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something beautiful, but also pretty complex legally, buying real estate down in Baja California, Mexico. Yeah, we're talking that amazing coastline, Tijuana, Rosarito, down through Ensenada, and then the really high-end spots in Los Cabos. Look, maybe you're dreaming of retirement there. Maybe it's an investment property. Either way, the stakes, financially, they're huge. And our sources, well, they all point to one thing you just can't skip: getting a licensed realtor. So our mission today is to really dig into why. Why is this choice so critical for keeping your purchase safe and, actually legal?
And we really have to start with the basics here. If you're coming from the US or Canada, you just have to understand the legal landscape in Mexico is completely different. You can't just assume the way property ownership works or how deals get done is anything like back home. A big one, a major difference, is there's no standard MLS like the multiple listing service we rely on so much up north.
Right.
And that creates a really fragmented market. You get, well, wildly different levels of professionalism out there, which means you have to be incredibly careful. And that leads straight to the main point.
Yeah.
If you're doing any kind of real estate deal, renting, listing a property, selling one, you legally need a professional real estate license. That's the law across all of Baja California, north and south. No exceptions.
Okay, so the whole foundation's different.
Sure.
Got it. But why is the licensed realtor so indispensable? I mean, beyond just finding listings, what's that core legal knowledge they have that makes, just some random finder person actually dangerous?
Well, it really boils down to legal competency and risk mitigation.
Yeah.
Licensed realtors, they've gone through some pretty rigorous training, specifically on Mexican real estate law, property rights, ethical standards. This isn't just stuff you pick up casually.
Right.
Right? We're as unlicensed agents. They often just lack that fundamental knowledge. And when they miss key legal steps, that can lead to some really devastating outcomes. Think invalid contracts, problems with the title, or even violating Mexico's constitution around foreign ownership.
Yeah, that constitutional law. That brings us to that unique structure for foreigners, the fideicomiso. Let's unpack that one, because it sounds like it's the absolute key for buying near the coast.
Absolutely. It all goes back to Article 27 of the Mexican Constitution. Basically, foreigners cannot directly own land in what they call restricted zones.
Okay, and those zones are?
That's anything within 100 kilometers of the borders or 50 kilometers of any coastline. It's pretty much all the desirable beach areas. To legally buy property there, you must use a fideicomiso.
Which is a bank trust, right? So I, the buyer, I'm the beneficiary, but a Mexican bank is the one actually holding the deed? Is that how it works?
Precisely. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And a licensed realtor. Their job is to know which banks are authorized, which ones offer reliable trustee services, how to set up that trust correctly, how to manage the costs involved, and, importantly, handle the renewals you need every 50 years. Yeah, that expertise protects you, the buyer, from accidentally signing a contract for land you technically can't legally own without that trust structure. And they also know when maybe using a Mexican corporation makes more sense than the fideicomiso.
Okay. And right in the middle of making sure the whole transaction is valid, there's this figure, the notario público.
Yeah.
Now, for someone from the U.S. or Canada, what's the biggest difference? Because our notary is mostly just, witness signatures.
Oh, the difference is enormous, huge. In Mexico, the notario público isn't just stamping papers. They're a legal authority. They're actually a government official appointed by the state government.
Wow.
Yeah. They authenticate the entire legal transaction. They make sure everything complies with all the laws, and they formally oversee the legal transfer of the title. And that's why licensed realtors are so essential. They prepare all the necessary documents to meet the notario's really high standards. They make sure everything's clean, complete, legally sound, before you get to the closing table.
Okay. Legal foundation covered. But what about the actual property, the land, the building? Doesn't the notario check if the title is clean? Why does the realtor still have to do so much due diligence?
That's a great question. The notario confirms the legality of the process, yes. But it's the realtor who confirms the legality and condition of the asset itself. Due diligence in Baja, well, it's incredibly specific. It demands real on-the-ground investigation. So a licensed realtor's checklist includes making sure the property has a clear title. The term is libre de gravement, free of liens or any encumbrances. They also have to verify that all the property taxes are paid up, utility fees, water certificates, all current. And they're responsible for digging into the zoning, the land use designations. Is it actually zoned for what you want to use it for?
Right.
And this level of scrutiny, it's especially critical because you run into some unique issues down there. Things common in Baja, Licensed agents, they know how to spot those specific red flags that could completely sink your purchase later on.
Can you give an example? Like a specific red flag an unlicensed person might just totally miss, leading to disaster.
Oh yeah, the big one is Ejido land. EJIDO. This is basically communal agricultural land. It was originally granted by the government, and its ownership status is, well, it's often complex and frequently disputed.
Okay.
So an unlicensed agent might, maybe unknowingly, or sometimes frankly knowingly, push properties built on Ejido land that hasn't been properly regularized, hasn't gone through the correct legal process to become private property. We've definitely seen cases, unfortunately, where buyers bought homes only to end up in years of legal fights. Or worse, their homes were ultimately declared illegal, even subject to demolition, because that original title was fundamentally flawed.
Oh, wow.
A licensed realtor. They'd immediately scrutinize the property's history to steer clear of that kind of legal quicksand.
Given all that complexity, doesn't it just tempt people to, skip the realtor, maybe buy cash from a local seller and think, we'll sort the paperwork later? What's the immediate tangible disaster a licensed realtor stops right at the beginning?
Well, the immediate disaster they prevent is you buying something that legally simply cannot be transferred to a foreigner, or you signing a contract that's just invalid from the start. And beyond that, licensing means accountability. Licensed realtors often belong to professional groups like AMPI.
AMPI?
Yeah, the Mexican Association of Real Estate Professionals.
Yeah.
They set standards, and importantly, they're affiliated with the National Association of Realtors, NAR, in the U.S.
Okay, so there's oversight.
Exactly. It means they follow a code of ethics. And critically, for you as a client, there are formal ways to file complaints, seek remedies, and often they carry professional liability insurance. If an unlicensed agent messes up or just disappears, poof, your investment could be gone, and you likely have zero recourse, absolutely none.
That really brings us to the value, doesn't it? What are you actually paying for? We should probably look at what it takes to get that license. What kind of professional has gone through all that government scrutiny?
Right. You're paying for knowledge that's verifiable, demonstrable. It required a serious commitment to get that license. The whole process is demanding. It usually starts with pretty comprehensive coursework, property law, contract law, ethics, all the transaction procedures from making an offer right through closing. And just to even get registered with the State Registry of Professional Real Estate Agents, they have to prove they're legitimate, serious business people.
Okay, so what does the government actually demand proof of? We don't need, the specific form numbers, but what's the impact of all those bureaucratic steps?
The impact is all about compliance and integrity. They have to pass tough exams on law and ethics. No getting around that. They need to submit paperwork, proving they're current on taxes, proving their legal residency status. And this is important. They have to provide a criminal record certificate, a recent one.
Okay. Background check. Yep.
And here's a layer of consumer protection that's just indispensable. They have to register their standard client contracts. I call them adhesion contracts with Profeco.
Profeco being...
That's the Federal Consumer Protection Agency. It's huge. It means the government reviews their standard agreements to make sure they're fair, compliant with national consumer protection laws. That really helps eliminate the risk of you signing some kind of predatory, totally one-sided contract.
Wow. Okay, that compliance, that oversight. It makes the risks of dealing with unlicensed people seem even clearer. If they can't even meet those basic standards, the background check, the contract review, the legal knowledge test, they are just a massive liability waiting to happen.
They really are. And honestly, the worst consequence of working with someone unlicensed, it's your exposure to outright fraud. Without that deterrent of losing a license, the potential for someone promoting properties with bad titles or unbelievably trying to sell the same property to multiple buyers, it's just significantly higher. Their lack of proper due diligence means they miss those zoning problems or the unpaid taxes we talked about. And guess what? As soon as you close, those problems become your problems immediately.
Okay, so let's make this super practical. I'm a buyer. Maybe I'm looking online at places in Rosarito or down in Cabo. What are the concrete must-do steps I need to take to verify someone claiming they're a licensed agent in Baja? This is like the absolute key takeaway for anyone listening.
Verification is everything, non-negotiable. There are basically 5 clear steps you need to follow. First, ask for proof they're a current member of AMPI. Don't just take their word for it, verify it directly, call the association. Second, ask to physically see their professional license or their certification document. Get a copy if you can.
Okay. AMPI check. See the license.
Third, and this is the official government check, you must verify their current license status on the Baja California Ministry of Economy's official website. That's the state registry. It only takes a few minutes online. Fourth, ask for references and actually contact them. Talk to previous clients who've closed deals similar to what you're looking for, especially if it involves setting up a fideicomiso. And finally, number 5, do your own homework online. Research their reputation, look for reviews, and actively check if there has been any disciplinary actions or formal complaints lodged against them. Seriously, do not just take your word for it. Verify, verify, verify.
You know, this whole deep dive really shows that buying property in Baja isn't just like buying back home. It's stepping into a really sophisticated legal system, one with its own unique constitutional rules and a pretty high bar for professional conduct. Choosing that licensed realtor, it fundamentally shapes the security, the legality, and ultimately the success of what's probably a huge investment for you.
Absolutely. If you just connect the dots, the rigorous licensing process, the required education, the ethics, that mandatory contract registration with Profeco, the insurance, and link that back to how it benefits you, the client, the conclusion is just crystal clear. Licensed realtors are the partners you need. They provide that essential peace of mind and, most importantly, real legal protection.
So maybe here's the thought to leave you with. When you're dealing with a market where foreign ownership is literally restricted by the Constitution, where you need legal trust to even make the purchase, the real question isn't, can I afford to hire a licensed realtor who knows all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's really, can I possibly afford not to, especially given you have to navigate things like setting up a fideicomiso correctly and making absolutely sure that title is libre de gravamen.
Protect yourself.
Right.
Protect your investment. Verify those credentials before you even think about signing anything.